Now, you know me, you know that I do follow the International Monetary Fund's blog put out by the president of the organization. Now, one of the very interesting posts that I put out the other day was one that said that growing inequality, which has massively expanded during the COVID 19 outbreak, is posing a threat to the world capitalist order. Now, they don't say the world capitalist order, but they say the economic order of the world. 95 million more people fell into poverty during COVID 2020 than they actually expected. I mean, there was an amount that they expected would fall into poverty, but 95 million on top of that fell into additional poverty because of the damage that COVID 19 has caused the global economy. And this, they are raising the alarm about. This is far from any kind of conspiracy nonsense about the Great Reset or anything like that. This is a regular concern that capitalism does have, and those on the very top, the most very elite of capitalist ideology, are well aware of what happens when you allow inequality to grow to too great an extent. Ask the Tsar. Oh, wait, you can't. Jokes aside, they're very aware that this threat is coming, and they're saying with very little ambiguity that the rich need to start paying their taxes. And that's one of the things. The government coffers are getting smaller and smaller as more and more corporations, capitalists, are paying less taxes over time, and that's been part of the neoliberal trend that's been going on for several decades. What's important here is that the IMF is warning about it, that it's a problem. Now, I know to a lot of people saying that the rich should pay their taxes somehow equals socialism or communism or Nazis or some other ideology which they don't actually know anything about and are just repeating and spitting their own ignorance out about. This is very much a regular Keynesian argument. Yeah, have rich people actually pay their taxes. I mean, I'm not even sure that's even like a strictly Keynesian thing. I believe even neoclassical and classical admit, yeah, you do have to pay your taxes if you want a government in order to function. This is outside of fringe. This is within the actual mainstream of economics, not fringe nonsense kind of ideologies. But it's a real thing that they're worried about. They're calling for more investment in education, infrastructure, healthcare, etc., which means that the inequality that exists in society, they are afraid of. And they're talking globally, not one country or another. They're saying around the world, this is a problem. This is something that they're afraid of. Because they do know what happens when inequality gets out of hand. Because they do say very much in the post about stability and keeping society functioning and people losing trust in their government. Now, these are all things the capitalist class would appreciate it didn't happen. This is one thing they want. Social tensions down, profits up. But, good luck dealing with that contradiction of capitalism, but I digress. Keep in mind that we are entering a very dangerous time. COVID is doing an astronomical amount of damage to the global economy. This is not some kind of reason that we should not lock down, or that this is some kind of idea of or justification for creating some kind of conspiracy theory. This is just capitalism. This is just how the system works. There really is no avoiding this. This is a contradiction of capitalism that's going to be made more acute the longer the COVID problem goes on. Because that's the great contradiction. A full, necessary measure to deal with the COVID outbreak would inherently be against the capitalist class and would damage them irreparably. Well, the very elite would be okay, but the general capitalist class would not be very well off at all. See, that's the point. Human survival of COVID seems to go very much against the very nature of capitalism itself. Capitalism may be able to pull out something to be able to save themselves from COVID, but at an astronomical cost. And this was not something that the Soviet Union was worried about. There was an outbreak in 52, I believe it was, of polio. I think it was polio. I should have researched this beforehand, but I believe it was polio from a traveler that came from India. And when it was discovered, they immediately locked down the town or city that the guy had visited. They locked it down, nothing going at all, and within 2 weeks, the infection had been stopped. So there was no pandemic, at least with regards to that, because that's the kind of measures you can take when you have a planned economy. And I don't mean the planned economy of China where the party tells the capitalists to do certain things and then make themselves rich by it, which isn't economic planning. That's setting a guideline out for someone or a corporation to follow. That's very much different than calculating price inputs over an entire economy. There's two very clearly different things. But again, I digress. Capitalism is making the problem worse. You might be able to argue that capitalism created the COVID crisis. Maybe. I think these kinds of things are inevitable anyway, but capitalism made it worse. But what we see, truly and clearly, is that capitalism has no real solution for it. It can only self-flagellate until it can do so no more.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.